What's up guys, Max here, back with an update to Injustice 2. It's been about over a month and a half since we last made our video talking about the last thing that happened with Injustice 2, which was simply a poll that Ed Boon put out on Twitter talking about characters and the chances of Sub-Zero and Spawn. But outside of that, this game has been in the complete dark for the past practical 4 months. As we did say before, the last stuff we officially saw was on Harley and Deadshot, and there has been no brand new characters since then. However, there has been one outstanding thing of Injustice 2 that a lot of people have mentioned and could definitely have needed some touching up, and it's some of the character faces we're seeing in the game right now. Luckily, IGN got some hands-on footage with the character Supergirl, which was initially revealed when the game first was shown up back in June, and she looks a little bit different. Yeah, a lot different. She practically looks like a different character. Either they completely remodeled her face or the lighting is taking a much bigger dramatic effect on this version because the lighting in the previous versions made some of the characters look downright spooky in some regard. Now this is specifically for Supergirl, who had this big of a change. However, if you go throughout the video and check some other stuff, there has been highlighted intros of characters like Wonder Woman, and she was probably one of the roughest ones early on in some shots. Dramatically different as well, so many of the female faces are going through quite a bit of changes as the game goes through its polish period leading up to launch. But this isn't the only stuff I really want to see in terms of character faces. Right now, between all the other male characters we did see that don't have masks on, like Batman and stuff, I was personally hoping that Aquaman and Superman might get some changes to their facial models because they just looked a little bit off. I think it might have to do with the lighting. We do see that lighting can have a huge dramatic effect on certain characters and the way they look, but I am hoping, similar to what's been happening with Wonder Woman and Supergirl, that we might see adjustments to character faces because this is one of the bigger aspects of Injustice 2, that they're going through this entire facial mocap structure, which is giving more detail to character faces than you've probably ever seen in a fighting game outside of something like Guilty Gear, which is a heavy anime style. Other than that, we get a full breakdown of what Supergirl is bringing to the table in terms of her gameplay, and I did make a little bit of an impressions video back from E3 when I played not too much, but enough of Supergirl to get the gist of her, and it was mostly the fact that a huge part of a very large portion of characters in the first Injustice did extremely well from greater distance away from the opponent because they had great projectiles and really good recovery on a lot of that stuff. It does seem like Injustice 2 is taking a step in a different direction because Supergirl's trait is essentially using her eye lasers, meaning that if you want to actually be more zoning effective and you want to actually use that part of the character, it is a limited period of time and it is only limited to the character trait. But a lot of the other stuff seems to be really good because what I did notice when playing Supergirl with the brief period I had is that a lot of her attacks are very, very, very close range. You need to get extremely close to the opposition to do good with this character, but she practically has very Mortal Kombat-esque teleport moves that go from one screen distance to the other, very much resembling Scorpion and many other Mortal Kombat characters. Her moveset, I feel, is definitely defined as a close-range combat character, and Superman, I feel, is going to be a mid-ground character instead of kind of like an all-arounder where he did everything very well in the first Injustice. I believe now he's not going to be super good at anything. He's going to be normal man at everything just because of his moveset from the previous games carrying over into this one and how effective he was from the previous title. Either way, speaking in general about the game, we have potentially 4 months until the game's release. That is the usual time frame that NetherRealm and Warner Brothers have set up for the release schedule of these fighting games ever since Mortal Kombat 9, and I do feel that they are going to hold to that, meaning that very early in January of 2017, I feel we're going to start to get the media blitzkrieg of Injustice 2 information, mostly because this game is destined to have a very large roster, most likely over 30 characters at the start. So they have to start showing stuff off. Like, this is getting way too long in terms of a fighting game that is going to be coming out anytime soon. And even though there is not an official release date for Injustice 2, this game should be coming out very soon. I'm also really curious about what they're going to do with mechanics in this game, because there was only one really new mechanic that they added from the previous title that I was able to play around with at E3, and that was the new meter burn forward dash, which essentially allowed your character to do a roll from one side of the screen almost to the the other side of the screen at the cost of 1 bar. It's a new mobility tool to kind of combat the extensive keep away some characters might have access to, but we'll see what happens with the roster of this game if a lot of them are really proficient at keep away. And it makes me hope that there's more. I do hope there's new, more awesome mechanics that this game will actually give to us, because a lot of the things we have seen in Injustice 2 so far, like the clash system and giving characters supers and meter burning moves, is all stuff that we have seen from Injustice 1. I kind of compare it to Mortal Kombat X, and I try to go back and think, what did MKX do that was so much different than Mortal Kombat 9? And essentially it was the run button. The run button allowed you to run with the character with a limited amount of stamina. They were still able to dash like Mortal Kombat 9, and I'm hoping, because that was really the biggest thing that differentiated MKX from MK9, I hope that's not the case with Injustice. I hope it's not just this meter burn roll thing that we really haven't seen anything about since E3. I just hope they got something cooking up in the oven right now along with all those extra characters, and we get to take a look at it hopefully sooner than later, because the release date of this game should be coming up within the next 3 to 4 months or so. As always, guys, if there's more information about that release date, more information about the characters, I'll be back as soon as possible. Thank you dudes a ton for watching. My name is Max, and I'll see you next time.